everyone. Marianne Gillespie, CEO of Red Apple Coaching and Consulting. I am always asked about explaining what my Hangman script is when it comes to explaining market conditions to our listing clients. So I'm going to share that with you today. Okay, so buckle up. Let's get this show started. So this script is used when you're dealing with a listing client in a very changing market. You want to actually, there's two sides of the brain. So there's the emotional side, there's the logical side. Sometimes we can get emotional about our decisions to sell. So we can get really caught up in the emotional side and be like, if I don't get my price, I'm not selling, and it's not going to happen. And so we try to bring our sellers back to the point of logic. And it's just about getting on the same page. It's not about making them do, list their house for a certain price. It's really just about, is this the right, is their head in the right place to understand that they need to make a logical decision most of the times, and we get trapped in that emotional state. So let's use this as an example. At the bottom here, I've put 300K. That is what the listing person has purchased the house for. 20 years ago, they purchased for 300K. So you can see it's called the Hangman because it's a loop. Okay, so the market started off when they first bought it 20 years ago, they bought it for 300K. So then I put the price of what it's worth today up here. So let's say it's worth $1 million. So the bottom is what they purchased it for, the top is what it's worth in today's market. Not an exaggerated price, it's what it's truly worth in today's market. So if they want 1.5, I'm not putting 1.5 here, I'm putting 1 million. In between is a profit that I write down, 700K. The difference between 300 and a million is 700, okay? So they've made $700,000 profit in 20 years. On the right-hand side, I put 20 years, and I put $35,000 per year is what it works out to. So when I explain this to a client and I go through it, I draw it in front of them. I don't tell it to them over the phone. I share a screen or I'm sitting in front of them. I go, guys, you bought it at 300K. It's now worth $1 million. I know you think it's worth 1.5, but it's worth $1 million. Okay, every market has its peak. Okay, our market has peaked currently. It's at the peak point, everybody knows it, and I can have the proof to show them that we've peaked. So now you're sitting on $700,000 profit. The question I'd like to ask you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what did you do to get $700,000 profit? Okay, now most of the time they're going to say that they've upgraded some fixtures or they changed the roof, and I say the same thing. I go, well, listen, here's the scoop. 20 years ago, I couldn't wear the same shoes I wore 20 years ago. I can't even wear the same pants 20 years ago. First of all, things need to be upgraded. And to be very fair, to be honest with you, if I didn't wax my eyebrows, for 20 years, they would definitely be attached right about now. Okay? They just would. I'm just saying, all right? So the truth is that many things need upgrading over the last 20 years. That your house is the same thing. It doesn't really affect the value because you needed to do those things, okay? Or you chose to do those things cosmetically. The point is the market gave you a very good return. 35K a year was outstanding. Now the market has peaked out right now. When it peaks, it generally, when interest rates start to go up, it will start to drop in the prices. So as much as you want 1.5, we're dealing with 700K for sure. So I like to deal with certainty. Let me ask you a question, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. How much of that 700K do you want to lose or watch disappear before you decide and say, okay, it is time for us to sell? Because then the game will be is to not lose as much of that, and then we're chasing in a market where we have to chase. Right now, we're still right here. It hasn't officially turned, but we are in the process of it turning. So I just need to know, if we list at $1 million, you're going to be walking away with a profit of 35K per year and $700,000. So let me ask you a question. At what point will that, if we list at 1.5, we're not going to probably sell it at that price. So I'd just like to know, how much of the $700,000 profit are you willing to lose? Okay, that's the Hangman script. Okay, it takes the fact that your clients are sitting on large profits in their households right now, and they need to be thinking logically. I need to know from anybody listing their property, what is that 700K? What is the value to that person, and how much of it do they actually want to lose? We don't want to lose any of it typically, so it's important that we're on the same page of our clients. But sometimes logic of what they've earned every year and how this happened, I always explain to them, the market gave you a gift. The market did, just like the stock market, just like other markets. You have no control over when it takes it away from you. You have no control over that. So you need to make an investment decision. Is this the profit that you want? That's great. Or are you okay if you lose a couple 100,000 of it? Are you willing to play that market game? That's up to you. Okay, we can't predict when it's going to turn 100%. We know it's balancing out and it's peaked out, but we cannot predict how much of that 700 will be lost. We don't know, but we can almost guarantee that markets are cyclical. What goes up must come down. So what was given to you as a gift will likely be taken away at some portion, not all of it. You can't go back 20 years, but right now you're sitting at the most peak. So be careful for those sellers who are looking to peak out the most amount of income that they can for their households. It's a great Hangman example is where I took it from. I used the game Hangman. I said, this is a great way to explain pricing to some clients. So make sure that you follow that and give your clients the opportunity to really understand it's an investment decision. In order for it to be an investment decision, you have to look at what you started at, what you're currently at, profit margins in between, and how much of that are you willing to risk. Okay, I will talk to you later. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.